Audio. Great. Let us do Portfolio 2 project. Well, I would restart, but I don't care. Portfolio 2, final submission. Yes. Cool. Now I know what we're talking about. Design brief. I would call this design brief, but all this is like design history, right? I have a want to call it like just background, but those letters might not fit. How can we motivate the youthful generation to desire the possession of past navigation knowledge? I would say, how do you make it relevant to this generation such that one can confidently traverse unknown territories where technology is bound to fail? Try to say it more simply. How to make it relevant in a tech-driven world that has potential for failure. Just shooting from the hip. Got it. Come one of these out, or like join it up. Selected, dissected, and understood how Astrolabe works. That would take 1 and 2 and what is this, 5? Take the first half of 5 away, and then if you're going to brainstorm ideas and potential products, it's called ideation. So just like you're being redundant. Also, like, if I was, so what? You did all this, what's the big one takeaway? First thing I saw was like this angle. Like, where do you want me to look first? I looked here first, then here second, and then that third. Is that correct? Because you already told me you did ideation here. And I know you're doing Astrolabe, so I'm more curious about, like, name these things. I tried this idea, I tried this idea, I tried this idea, and I got to this big idea. And of course I can't read this, and if I can't read it, it shouldn't be there. Introducing the Astro board. Scale's more correct. How does it work? How do you, is this like a totally analog product? Well, if you're using Light-Bright technology, there's typically a light hanging out back there, right? And then I was starting to think of the reason why you have this porthole, I think, is so you can see like what time of the year it is. I started getting curious, but how does it work? You get LED, cool. Diffuser, cool. Like maybe there should be a month, right? That way the user can spin it by their own. I don't mean to be poking holes in your product that's already done, but I see stuff and it makes me curious, that's all. Take. All right, protective golf bag, protection. Try not to hyphenate, please. Spell check, please. 55%, so over half break a club while traveling. Yeah, that's pretty bad. Storage and protection cost. Hard case costs 150. Soft, poor protection. Okay, I got an idea what we're designing for. All right, so you give me some parameters, but I'm wondering, like, how do these fix the parameters? Right. How do you make it better storage? How do you increase protection? How do you reduce cost? Stable Club doesn't tell me that. Pressure resistant material, that's helping. This is a hard case. Why is it better than conventional hard cases? And is it important? Do you think it's important to show me what a hard case looks like? Material. All right, soft material cover club, but yeah, how does that increase protection? How does it drop costs? It's like you have these things. I just want to understand how you're addressing these project constraints. Same here. I really don't care so much about, like, I'm wondering how you solve problems. If there's a very important physical property or chemical property to this material, sure. Are you changing? No, font sizes are the same. I think you can use a smaller font size on this page. I do like how it's collapsible. Does it fit into a bag? How do you assemble it might be a good thing to show. What is the projected cost? After you assemble this thing, how do you put your bag inside of it? I mean, I do like the collapsibility. I think that's very nice, hyphenation. But I'm worried about it actually traveling through an airport because there's lots of different holes, things to get stuck in. And then how is it sturdy enough? Because, you know, 55% break their golf club. This has to be rigid enough for me to trust it so I can go traveling and not risk breaking my golf club. Okay. Yeah, that's a very small number. Okay. I like it. Good question. Just as long as, like, I'm not gonna bring a backpack just for my scooter. So as long as there's other storage opportunities. Okay. Got it. Got it. As long as you show me with a backpack. It might be good, and it's just like more of a typing detail. What type of leader backpack are we talking about here? I like how nothing inside the backpack's taken up. Let me see what your full scale. Renders are nice. Extra storage opportunity. Okay. What's nice is the simplicity of it. If you could throw in like 2 pieces of information, I'm curious about the overall weight because it is a transportable commuter backpack. And I'm also curious about the size of the volume, like how many liters. Problems to solutions. Design goals. I mean, you're definitely doing that right. Is it necessary to have this page? Because really, like, I should be able to answer these along the way, so it's not having to be reiterated. Yeah, I mean, sometimes more digital and animation solves things more quickly. All right, smart speaker. In limited space, all important things are preserved because of clever design, no compromise. It's confusing when you say all important things are preserved. What are the important things? What's the problem? There's lots, and I do mean lots, of Bluetooth speakers on the market, so. Is this, I don't know who Lyra is. Is it a brand you made up, or is it like contract work for a company? Equipped with 4 speakers, it can be accurately restored regardless of vocals or heavy metals. I don't understand it. Of course, these bass will not be absent. Let the experience. Okay, so there's your subwoofer. Right, if all these things fit in a nice small convenient package. All right, where computing power is good. Where's your battery at? If you're gonna have that many and that big of a speaker, it's gonna be digesting power very quickly. So power I think is important. Interface will be important. I know you're touching on it. Another opportunity where which is better, 2-channel audio or a true 2-channel audio? I don't know. This question should be answered by you. Okay, I can't answer because I don't know. Okay, got it. You know, you could show me this, it'd be a lot easier for me to digest. You have them together and it's one speaker, or it has like one channel. Like, how do you show channels? I don't know, because I don't really listen to music that much where I need multiple channels. Unless you're trying to do surround sound. And then how do they know what's left and what's right? Yeah, you talk about battery, but you don't show battery here. Let me see that little kind of bleed over with your text. Is that intentional or unintentional? It seems... I don't know. You do it occasionally, you don't do it occasionally. It feels like an accident here, though, because it's just the R. He. All right. It's not a speaker. It's not a voice assistant. What is it? Spell check. All right, so scale, that's good. Okay, so like what? If it's going to be simple, how do I intuitively know how it works? OLED, I think, needs to be the exquisite OLED screen. You need to capitalize OLED. Wireless shard, spell check. $40, sure. I'll just believe you. I think a graphic like this could be helpful when you're talking about taking them from a single speaker where it's all the channels are in one housing, and then dividing them up and having a left speaker and a right speaker. Are you saying that it's not just a speaker and it's not just a smart home, assistant, but it's also surround sound? And a TV remote. This seems there's lots of features. And you're using it for kitchens. That's kind of like personal assistant. 1 second. Okay. If you take it outdoors in the car, you're going to need Wi-Fi, I assume. Where it connects to your Bluetooth. And like you use him, is it male or female? Or should we call it an it? And it's a speaker in the car, not a personal device, so it's Bluetooth. Got it. It is more than a speaker, but it does a lot of things, which means the user interface and coding on this thing has to be intense. This one. Okay. What I'd like to know is I need you to help kind of note how are you instilling confidence, stability, and risk-taking into these concepts. Like you have zero text, and I do like minimal text, but with zero text, if I get curious, there's nothing to answer my questions. So I believe you need text here to explain why some of your ideas were more appropriate and why some other ones were less successful. Yes, these are iterations, but like, what did you learn through the building process? This one, you got to get rid of all this background stuff. It's distracting. And you don't have to call them in context photos because like we know what that is. I think the situation less is more. What room is the perfect one? Where do you want something that's, risk-taking, confident, and stable? What type of environment? And it does need Photoshop, so it sits down. So up in the back, close. Not sitting flush, doesn't really fit the context. Dang it, Kimmy. We are not using the word serious. You are taking the idea of seriousness and implementing that design language into a clock. So it's not just using the word serious. It's like copy pasting the assignment sheet, but you are trying to embody a form that means these things. Like, what does the word serious look like? Standing table clock. I can't read your text, which is problematic because like I typically love reading the text because it tells me your decision-making process. And if I can't read it, I can't know. All right, this one you told me you did ideas. You went to clay. You felt the smushy ones were more playful. All right, at least I know why you went to a digital. I'm okay with that. All right. I just want to make sure I had in context because up here you say it's for a standing table clock. So you had to have a standing table. Ah, yes, this one. Is there a way this flows? Or are these all equally important? All right, prototypes, what did you learn? This is me being picky. I would try to cut down on some of the text. I mean, it helps me that I can ventilation, structural integrity, but it's a touch bit much to read. I like how it works. If I had to suggest something to help round out this project, you said it could be scaled up or down. I'd like to see it scaled up or down. But maybe what you have is enough to convince somebody. I'm going to move my computer to a standing desk, so if you hear something, that is what I'm doing. I'm just tired of sitting down. I gotta stop and check. Alright, we've talked about this one multiple times. So let me see if there's anything else I can give to you. Yeah. Font, this gets too small to the point where you can't read it. Try to maintain with this size, which seems like the other same size, so consistency is to be valued. 3 gears, 1 output, we talked about that. Yeah. 3 gears, 1 input, 3 outputs. See the video, which I think the video is incredibly important on this one. And the goal is to make something move, and so showing it move is the thing I think everyone wants to see. Feedback on this version is not necessary. Okay. Oh, this one. What is that? Automaton, duplicate, repeat. Okay. Gives illusion, visible input, invisible input, changing. I would move these headers to the top and then give me a little bit of a write-out. Like, what do you mean by gives the illusion? And there has to be some type of input. So why does it need to be invisible? And then changing. I know where it's going to because I've read the project, but put the headings on top and then give me a little bit of written description on the bottom if I'm interested in kind of getting more of an exact idea what you're talking about. Interchangeable skin, good. I like the direction, and I can actually see where this is kind of progressing. I just don't like what was said here. Concepts that work towards the final idea. Of course they did. The concepts that they don't work, you don't mess with them. The concepts that they do work are moving forwards. So I'd rather you tell me more about why is this the direction you're going? Give me a bolt somewhere. Once tickle the wheel is spun, it will flail. Something like that. You show me the mechanisms. You show me the skins. Good. I like what you're saying, but we all want to get there, right? Everyone wants to get here. I think this is kind of the more funny one here. How could we just have this one Bigger, more to the left. No, it's creepy. It makes me cry. How do we make a more welcoming skin? Something else. So thematically, I think it's great. I mean, just admitting that, this is a great idea, but it didn't have the best resolution so far. This could be like how I would change it in the future. Because you said, it didn't work here. I can't see it here. Oh, Haiti. Where's kids? Okay. Alright, so it's a class signature. It's a DIY bench plan made in Haiti. Okay. Sketches, are you with that one? I think this has to be elaborated upon. Yeah, maybe here it'll be good to say, while we could concept in the sketching department, it made more sense to build out prototypes to better understand the mechanical requirements for this. So at this point, it's really good. No hyphenations, please. And you could probably left align this paragraph here with your other text. Now I see you got rid of the track you had earlier. See, track. Track will be the bottom leg of the bench. I don't see it. So now, I have a break in what it's like your design process. You show me something and I don't know where it went. So at least you got to tell me, why did you get rid of it? Or why did it fail? And how did you still fix the problem of the transforming bench desk? I think you could maybe fit 2 needs here. Step 1, step 2, step 3. I mean, I do like seeing the steps, but it's not like an inclusive plan right now. What I might do is give them, if you want to see more about this project or you want to download the plan book, visit this place on the internet or follow this hyperlink. Because it doesn't, I like the idea of just briefly showing, hey, this is how it would go together. But to be more specific, you need to go outside of this portfolio. The axis of the twist part is replaced by a short PVC tube instead of a wording column. I think you should tell me before we get to the final solution that was a change. That should happen around post-model, then prototype production or full-scale prototype production. All right, coat rack. What's our problem? There is no problem. Why are you making a coat rack other than Randy told you to? Is it a form exploration? Is it a furniture self-expression? Are you trying to solve problems? I'd like you to at least set it up with, this is the goal of the class or this is the goal of the project, instead of going straight into sketches. All right, it's great that they're full. Wait, these look like the exact same things. Well, the only difference is these go through. I wouldn't really call those and this is shorter. All parts are cut by CNC, not cutted. It's just kind of confusing, right? So we go, I don't know what you're trying to solve, and so is the insides for jackets and the outside for hats? Final solution. But shoes, okay. Now I know what's that. I didn't know they were used for shoes. I should know that earlier, I believe. Support for additional hooks. Do you also need to include hangers then? Because according to these two, like you were hanging them on the inside, I thought that was for support. Full size, full size. Well, that should be full size. Do I ever see a human body? I mean, that does help me understand full size as well. I also think that these should be on the same level. I don't know why that one's a bit higher. And I do think if you're going to show the final one with like, this is not a traditional coat rack because you have, actually there's no coats, and you should have a hanger in your earlier ideation because it just feels like it's thrown in at the very end. That's interesting. Try this again. Alright, Masachi, I don't know what happened to it. That is weird. I'm gonna try to download. And whole tree. Alright, Masachi. It doesn't like your file. I don't know what to tell you. All right, man. We have to come up with a different project brief because no client is going to come to you and say, "Hey, listen, I just want a coat rack. I don't have any opinions about it, and here's all my money." So, I mean, this might have been truthful, but we have to have a different perspective. Like, there's always a money budget, so at least make it up. You can say it's high end. You can say it's got to be made under $200. Wholesale, so it sells for $800 retail. What type of materials, maybe? And this part, it really does show. It's just like, all right, we have no direction. Neither do your sketches. Like, I'm fine with you doing this, but why are you just sketching any type of coat rack? Because that's not necessarily coat rack. And the styles between these two are radically different, and then you decide on the DIY or self-assembly. So it seemed really crazy at the beginning. Yes, you are making a mold. We've got to change some of the text around in this situation. Instead of coming over here, I don't mind you saying, like, I try different types of molds and bent plywood. And then I might scale that image up just a little bit, and then the rest of the text be right here. You can go down a few point sizes. Cutting wood and bounding. And fastening them in a different way. Also, I'm interested, right, what part are you making? Is it for this part? Is it for this part? Is it for that part? I think that could be I guess it's the bottom corner. Package to full assembly in 5 minutes. Let's say 10. If you could yourself break it down and assemble it in 5 minutes and me time you, I'll let you say 5 minutes. But for someone not to know how it works, even if you follow instructions, they're going to take the steps slower. So just change that to tend to be more accommodating for people who don't know how to do things. Yep. Let's see if I can offer you any feedback that Owen Foster did not already offer you. Yeah, I remember. If it's for these people, show me it's for these people. You explained it well. Yeah, you got to figure these guys out. Like put them all in a grid instead of kind of a chaotic overlay, and it is a bit much for the eyes to take in. Include some text. The man who owned, another little detail. I think like a tertiary element of small text, just kind of analyzing or dictating what you told during your interview could be helpful here. Logo here shows a little bit of extra thoughtfulness. Harley. All right, let's make this a problem statement instead of like just shooting me lots of different ideas. You can like leave these out here. These are the multiple issues, but we wanted to redesign the, how do we call this, a scooter? We wanted to redesign the scooter to make it more beneficial to urban commuters. Scenario. All right, what do I need to know after I look at these? Walking takes a long time. Biking takes less time. Driving takes even less time. High comfort and high convenience. So why not drive? Or what elements of driving can you implement in the biking? I don't know. Why are you showing me this? You compared it. Okay, what's the outcome? Research, fine. I see the information. So what? What's the outcome? This needs to be center aligned. And it's a lot of information. Create a new experience. You could have said that all the way at the beginning. I mean, that's the point of the project. You did the research so you could understand the current experience and so you can improve upon it. So intent needs to go at the beginning. I don't even know if you need to say it. It's like it's the project intent, project brief, project direction. And you're saying the same thing. Your solution and your design criteria. I like the way you're saying it here better. I'll make the entire area green. I might do a row of 3, portable, lightweight, aesthetic. Another row of 3, functional, safe, spacious, and comfortable. And then maybe put these kind of subtext under them. I like the way this looks. Prototype, what did you learn from prototype 1? Prototype 2. What did you learn from prototype 2? What's next? I don't know. Ease. Do you ever show me somebody writing on it? And do you like you show me details, how it breaks down? I don't know where the power plug sits. Is that the power plug? See, let's go back and look at your text consistency. This size is fine. It's a touch small, but I think it works. Good, good. Yeah, let's not bold that. And this feels like a new lighting fixture feature. Okay. Wheel deconstruction, carbon fiber. Ugh, carbon fiber is super expensive though. I mean, if you had like some type of hydroformed aluminum, that could be a possibility. Hard rubber, like vulcanized rubber might be a better word for that. Spacer, check your spelling. Manuals are cool. What is this? if you're gonna show me the folding mechanism, you gotta show me like the entire thing together, because I know it might be a front or back wheel. I don't know. Back wheel folding. Well, show me when it's connected to the rest of the body. Same thing. Like I have to see them in context for it to make sense. You're welcome. Jupiter, okay. Placeholder CAD shot. Do we really need a CAD? I don't think a CAD shot here is going to be good. You don't want to solve the problem too fast. You want me to get into like the idea that you were solving it and I'm following your process. This kills it. Do we do a mood board? Yeah. I think instead of a CAD shot, I might just either find some type of art or a drawing that could be described as being energetic as a precursor leading into my inspiration board. Continuous curves, asymmetry, contrasting colors, voluminous, eye-catching. All right. Do not put etc. Etc. is like, I couldn't list these things, but I don't want to. And there's only 2 organic forms on your mood board. It's not a very big mood board. Form exploration. Sure. Symmetry and asymmetry. Come on now, this is confusing. Actually, this is more like repetition. It is axial symmetry, not asymmetry. So which one do you want to go with? Design direction. Okay. Is it a good attempt? I'm worried that you tried to do this in Illustrator because it doesn't look right. You gotta fuzzy the edges, like the outside, that works. These top and bottoms don't. I do appreciate you making the attempt, but it's not there yet. What's happening here? Alright, you just need more refined things. You can replace it if you want to. The thing is, when you do a CAD model, I want to see information because CAD's like the next step in it being realistic. So like 2-part molding, components on the inside, that's what I'd like to see, because if it's just outside form, you can do that with foam. Hard to read here. Can you make this background image more light so I can read? Also, does it have to be red text? Do we actually need this page? It's kind of like an introduction. It's just hard to read. I need it to be more legible. And this information needs to be centered on the page. Right now it's a little bit right of center. Make sure all your text is lined up with the left side of the photo. So none of them are quite lined up. Material costs $3, okay. Set of assembly instructions, good. I wonder, instead of making like this 2 boxes, if you just make this page gray and these kind of float out in the middle. Image of, yep, you need an image here. Okay. A bench. for this page, lose the blue outsides. It's not beneficial. If you need a blue thing, make the church blue. Instead of the top and bottom being blue, maybe a line across the top or a line across the bottom. You could talk a little bit about this is what they currently use for the school, or if this is what you're solving. This might be a terrible thing to show because this already says there is a solution down there. So this is a dangerous image. I'm curious why it is there. You don't need the blue borders again. All right, you need to, in this image or this page, you need to answer, why am I looking at this stuff? You're developing a table. I know that is. Maybe I know too much in this situation. Multifunctional space, multifunctional seat. So how are you making a multifunctional seat? It needs to do two things. Are you being overly explicit, or are you depending on me to know extra stuff? A desk and a pew. I'm okay with you kind of stopping this process and saying, I explored as well as I could in the sketching and two-dimensional realm. We learned how to get into full-scale 3D prototypes to really learn about the mechanisms. This is weird, but I think this one suffers from too little text. Like, I'm the wrong person because I know about the project. So if you show this to somebody who didn't understand or didn't know about the project brief, would they be able to piece it all together and know and appreciate your solution to the problem? Have another idea on this page. Think about a stack of 6 pages on your paper, or stack of 6 pages on a desk, and kind of fan them out. So you see the first image and what's on top, and the rest you see portions because they're hidden under other previous sheets. And you say, hey, we developed these plans for them. If you want to see more about the plans, you can download this PDF at this website. Open source. Oh, Burrow. Don't think you need to show the date, and this needs to be center aligned. Palette design, maximize volume. Okay. I'm having to read a lot to understand. All right, so show me a palette. Why are you showing me a palette? Yes, basic business, right? If I'm paying the same for shipping and I get more units, that's good. I like what you're saying, but I think you could say it more cleanly. Get my face. Like, I needed to redesign the box so we can maximize palette design. All this does is save money, and it's aesthetically attractive. How can we simplify that page? Okay, and then what? If these things were in a commercial, where would they be? Because right now I just see renderings, and it's not that the renderings are bad, but I never understand like what's the real purpose, and it is more for like consumer or business reasons why you did the change. And which is it? Is it like the tear off top? Or is it the kind of slide on top? I think I'm okay with like the order in which you are presenting information. So we solve the problem, you talk about the graphics, and then you show a final solution. But is this the final solution or is this the final solution? I don't know. And what's a better in context rendering to drive it home? Okay. Cool. All right. Power, beauty, raw honesty. Got it. Let's see. I do like the pros and negatives. Pros things are in blue, negatives are in red. It does have an authoritative look to it. Let's get rid of this line here. Yeah, that's all. Just get rid of that line. Photoshop that out. What's up with all the capitalizing? Yeah. What is up with all the capitalizing now that I'm reading it? That's more of a... It doesn't destroy, but it's just weird. I mean, that one's better, but for some reason I can't look at it, and I don't know why, so I'll give you feedback on what I have. And that one no longer exists. I don't know. Correct redesign. It gets a bit hard to read this other small stuff. When if you change to white, would it pop? Do you need to change to white? I don't know. Hosting a party is supposed to be fun. I agree. Overstuffy closed closets. Okay, I get it. Okay. Okay, good. I'm on the same track. Added pegs and loops. These look pixelated though. Okay. And dig it. Just the resolution of the images aren't great. The only thing I'm wrestling with is like these leaders. If you go gray, they're gonna fade away. Could we just try them lighter instead of like a 1 point, maybe a 0.75 or a 0.5? I still want to see the direction that they're going, but I don't. For some reason, they draw too much attention visually. Yeah, we can't end it like that because it's not supposed to go on the table, and that's what it kind of implies. Oh, what's up with the gray inside? Maybe if this is the final one, then you like kind of put a shop, somebody dropping off keys, so a silhouette of a person dropping off keys, somebody hanging their jacket on it, like some type of in use and scale reference. Because it's in color, I'm expecting it to be more important. Scale down. Is that text consistent? No. Why is this text feels like it's larger than your other typical text? Like, this is legible. That seems too big. And so if we could scale that down, I don't know, 5 to 10%, move this font so it's like the other ones, then we can scale that up some. Okay, show me how to use it. Cool. All right. Okay, then what is the prompt? Powerful. What does it mean to be powerful? I'm hoping you explain this along the way. Still like that page. I understand the decision you make. Cool. Renders. What's up with your time being backwards? Embodying cold sophistication and the indomitable form observes from one's desk, displaying the right time every time. Of course, because that's what clocks are supposed to do. It does show me scale. I'm going to put this on my wish list. How is it powered? How do you set the time? Or how do you interact with it? Like, would you ever set an alarm on it? Just curious. I'm struggling to organize this. I'll work on it. Well, oh yeah. Oh, planting. I do like seeing the stackability. All right, you water it. Can you take this color inside and make it darker? I do like the water drop indicator, but since the white roots are very light, here I can barely see them, here I can't see them at all, so it's almost like, well, if it gets down there, this thing's already dead. So maybe if I can see the roots actually can still touch, I won't feel that way. Good little colorways. Want some text there. I mean, what's the prompt? Needs to be small, simple. What else does it need to be? Small, simple, and whatever else. This is new. chances are if I'm seeing something for the first time on the final submission, my comments are going to be, I have plenty of comments for you. Yes, you have to stand up for a long time. Spinal stress. How important is this? This is a cool looking graphic, right? Little stress when you're laying down, a lot of stress when you're bending over. I would assume that they all continue, right? So a lot of stress is a lot of stress. 100. I would expect smallest, so 25, 75, 100, 140, 150, 185. So it just doesn't make as much sense to me that way. Aesthetic operation. Spinal disease? Is this like to reduce muscle fatigue or prevent disease? Wearable seats, yes, they do exist. I need to figure out what this word aseptic.
Aseptic.
Aseptic, okay, new word for me. Free from contamination. Okay, so it needs to be a hygienic solution. Are you saying these aren't hygienic? Or not appropriate for a operating room? That's a good point. Comfortable, adjustable, great. There's a lot of information for one page. I might consider breaking it up into two. Also, because of the size, it's getting increasingly difficult to read your text. Like this, I can understand what's going on. Here, I'm losing my ability to understand what the information is supposed to be. Test, T-E-S-T. I might eliminate two of these and just make the images bigger. Because when I just see them as details, I don't understand their function. When you show me as a kind of full use, I'm like, okay, let's go back. And then this is the knee portion or foot portion, right? I see the pieces you have, but I'm more curious on how do the pieces benefit the doctor? How does the doctor use the pieces to alleviate back and leg pain during an operation? And we can't call this restroom time. If you're just talking about rest time, it's different than restroom time. All right, from this image, you're working with wood. All right, you're talking about coat racks, but I have to read into like the small detail. It should be the big detail. If you're making a coat rack and that's the design brief, make sure you say it visually that it has importance, so it should be big and evident. Why is, I mean, other than wood, what's important about this? Create has an E. Now this is even confusing. Color rack in the night because there are 1,000 hamlets in 1,000 people's eyes. I don't know what that means. Are we talking about the lighting industry? Inspiration. All right, how are these sketches helping you solve the problem? And I really don't know what the problem is. Like, what do people need it in a coat rack? Is there any size requirements? Any cost requirements? So much of this doesn't look like a coat rack. That's beginning to look like a coat rack. That's your final solution. And I can tell it's vector made instead of being sketched. So if I can zoom in, I'd zoom in, but I can't. All right, you made a model. What did you learn from the model? Very stable, good at saving space. That's fine. Is it hung up? Is it hung up all the time, or does it always stay kind of folded out? And what do you use the lower pieces for? Okay. Does this always stand out, or does that fold up? If it's folded up, where do you store it? I'd also like bigger images. I can tell what's going on here. Here it's a bit difficult to see what your intentions are. Given this image or this image, I'd stick with that one. It's bigger and I can see more detail. It looks like it's holding something. It's about all the information I can give you back on that project. Meow mix. I wonder, because you have 4 points that you're kind of working towards. What if you have 4 icons? Touching, vision, portion control, smell. And that might be a better way to show the information than in bullet point form. You want to dispense food and you incorporate wet, dry cat food. Is it wet or dry? Which one? Or are you doing one of each? Has dividers, okay. Wax covered, okay. You know what sliding and movement? Is the entire thing a packaging? Are these 2 separate ideas? Lindsay Booz, I got lost really fast. Because here, all right, we're talking about lots of different ideas, initial concepts. Is this your developed concept? We have different sections, and we use wax, okay? It drops into the bowl without, is this one word instead of 2 words? Without touching it? How? Is it kind of like a carousel or a revolver of sort? And like I see that this one, like these are different than these. So how did you end up on this idea? So I need to transition between this page and this page. All right, you see these things? These things are good. Show me. Step 1, you take it out. 2, you push. You pull the wax away. Now mix. If you could, make sure all your text is left aligned on the left side of the image. I'll tell you because I think it's a good suggestion. If you're trying to get rid of smell, I guess having it wrapped up in foil, then ejecting it from the foil works. The smell still stays here. Then how do you remove the smell from here? Because if this is exposed, the inside's going to smell like cat food. If this thing is like a baby bell, then the smell is on the inside of the wax. So if I asked you that in the interview, how would you explain that? Ah, yes. All right, we're outdoors, we're camping, we're doing something with technology. I think a page is talking like, what is the overall goal here? Because I know we're ending up on power from helmets. And you are alluding to like getting power from nature, power from burning, power from sun, power from body energy. But just give me like one over, heck, it could be here. How might we generate power for today's connected devices? And that could work just by context. I know we're generating power in a wilderness type scenario. If you could cluster these a bit closer together, so pro and con, what instead of these being left aligned, if we did right aligned and pull them in closer, so same thing, pros, pros, and pros, right align them so they're closer to the center and closer to the object that they're referencing. I like what you're saying on this page. I just aesthetically don't like the way it's being shown. It's cool there's a bunch of graphics, but it's like it's 50-50. You could at least like put a color down here and then maybe make all these white and leave those here. Also, the purpose is different. You're trying to communicate a means for generating electricity, and then you want to create a means for the use of electricity. So headers could be helpful. You decide to use a helmet. I need context on both of these things. No hyphenization. Tech chips. I really don't know what this is. I know it's a battery pack. And by reading it, you say it's I don't know. All right, you're lost. You don't know what to do. Battery's dying. Instead of worrying about it, you go heat up the helmet. Just curious, like how many hours would it take to get power from like geothermal or biothermal? Cool looking helmet. You got to show me a dissection of it. I still think instead of you borrowing these kind of have to be done in the same vector for it to feel like it's uniquely yours instead of just copy paste from somebody else's. Circuit diagram, cool. Porter battery, cool. How do you plug into it? What type of outlet, USB-C? What type of charger? I just want more details. It is a cool idea. I really enjoy it. I'm curious how long it would take to heat or how long it would take to charge. It's more of an aesthetic helmet design project than it is a problem-solving project. So I think if you answer some of these questions, it helps me understand and appreciate the solution more thoroughly. Let's move that out of the green. It's a little bit hard to read. need to know who we're talking about. Auto care management. So I've had to find this small piece of information. Is it important that I know we're talking about auto care? I bet it is. So you got to show it page 1 or page 2. I don't have to go digging for it. Like really, this is people in their relationships to their cars. You have a person sitting in their car, a person looking at the hood, a person digging into the hood. Sure. What is the problem? I think the large problem, well, it's you don't have the information to react to. If you buy your own diagnostic kit, which kind of tells me which person you are, then you have the information. But what if you're somewhere in the middle who actually cares but doesn't want to go full in? Maybe there's a service like this. You plug it in, you get information. You're going to fill that in. Branding's all right. Typically don't do gradients in branding. You can do it on a background. Yeah, that needs to be filled out. The biggest thing is if you're going to show me some type of UX or app development, it needs to be kind of a circular approach between, there's something with my car. I plug in my sensor, I get information on my phone. My phone tells me to do this. I go into the real world and investigate this. All right, this is a problem. I go back to my phone. So what is the bounce back between the service of the app and the function of your vehicle? And how are those two communicating? No feedback needed. Okay. Concrete is the primary social equity. Historic precedent. These are big words. If you're talking about social equity, historical precedent, and global culture, is this the best image to drive that home? It's an inspiration. Kimball's awesome. Okay, I do like having some inspiration. That's new. Still don't know how this works. Not because I'm just not familiar with the area, but I see a space that you created steps, like an interior, exterior space. This is helping, okay. AI lab, faculty lounge, course space. What's the function? Well, where is this going to be? I'm assuming it's at Auburn, but like, what are the needs of the building? Like, you're trying to balance the idea of it being aesthetic, but also be functional and useful. This is good. I'm getting a better idea what's happening here. So core section for services. What type of services? Does that even matter? All right, why do we have an artificial intelligence lab? Faculty lounge, yo, you know people don't care about their faculty. They're going to get like the back closet. They're going to spend that on like a Starbucks, let's be honest. Class facade, come on. I don't know what world you're living in. Money. If it doesn't bring money, to quote a rapper that I don't know, if it doesn't make dollars, it doesn't make sense. All right, new rendering, cool. Okay, the biggest thing I come back to is you talked about it earlier, social equity. What does that mean and how does it find its way into your project? I know it's going to be concrete and that's cool, but what's the more underlying driving purpose? The joy of toasting. This page needs some help. One, you've got to reformat this so it fits this horizontal spread. I mean, we did this to fit on a vertical poster, I believe, and now we're on horizontal, so this needs to be reformatted, and this needs to fit. That's just like the visual, it's not done. And I know you can do a lot better than this, so Let me see if what you're saying is correct. So it needs to be vintage, compact, practical, and mobile. Okay. Maybe put some icons. Redo that page, please. Initial prototyping. We can't write that out like that. This is left and right page. This feels new, but it's been a while, but I feel like I've seen better iterations of this. I'd like images to be like maybe on, let's see what this next page is. Images taking up this 2/3 and then talk about going into testing functions on your far right. So 2/3 is sketching, 1/3 is scale model prototyping. Don't show stuff like this. I know that's going to come back in just a second in here. What are you developing further? Just more details. Design detail refinement could be better. And you get into this, which is really nice. Set temperature, set time, start, sequence of use. Clean tray is slightly at an angle. Okay, now I'm confused. Hold up. To clean it, it is sequence of use, but like use is kind of a linear thing. And so would you clean it up every time? Probably not. Sequence of, how about just calling it starting sequence and then cleaning sequence? I do like the transportation. I think that's good. Final design. Show me in context. All right. All right, last mile solution. Foldable, intuitive, portable. Okay. Origami. Challenges. Mine because I'm getting late, getting a little hard to read some of the small text. Like, what is the challenge for each one? Strengthen the footboard. I don't like having these is this, stop. Is this cohesive enough that what the part that you're talking about here, the image, correlates to the sketches? Is this explaining how you might solve it? Problem, solution, problem, solution? I don't know. Folding, intuitive, and portable. Okay. Pin comes out, you fold it down. That's what I understand. Celebrate and break. You talk about being intuitive, and I'm going to cause a little bit of problem for you, but it should be able to be fixed rather quickly. How do I know that the accelerator is the left and the brake is the right? How do I know it's not the other way around? One easy way to solve that is to put a green on one and a red on the other one. I think regardless from whatever country you're from, that should be an easy and intuitive way to understand starting and stopping. Now, what is your other stuff? Folding, yes. Folding and portable. Got it. You fold it. Last one's showing how it's portable. Still a sad picture. I think this is probably the most important page on the project, but I need to make sure there's a relation between problem, solution, problem, solution, problem, solution. All right, how many more do I have to go? I'm starting to run out of steam. Meals. All right, I can do this. I can do this. Last mile. Quicker. When you call it convenience? In this case, like, I would almost say that's storage, right? You have the ability to take it on a train, it stores down, or collapses down. So collapsibility could be a better word. Added storage could be a better word. Ideation, we can't have sketches like this. And it's not just storage elements, though. I mean, you did the sketching to figure out a lot more than that. So I'd like, if you're going to put sketches, I'd like more clearly conveyed sketches. These seem in the wrong orientation. So do these. So that's a placeholder. I hope so. And you fabricated, like, what did you, like, this is the big stuff. Like, what did you learn from this guy? I don't mind it being short, but it's got to make sense. Right now, it's not making sense. It's not just about storage, it's overall function, overall everything. You did sketching to think about comfort during mobility, versatility, so transportation, and added storage. So do that. Tilt to turn, I think you could do a simple, I mean, it's like an animation, but it ain't. Take a ghosted version of this pole, lean it to the left, maybe it's like 20 or 30%. 20 or 30%, you put an arrow back and forth, and it shows a different camber or toe on the wheels. And I'd like you to repeat kind of what you've done here. So big header, then body font. Do the same thing. So big header, rolling dolly. Explain rolling dolly. Convenience, subtext or body text. Storage, show me something going into the storage. You got to. I mean, that's what it's there for. A backpack, a briefcase, or groceries. Yes, show me something in that space. And then kind of a final in use. Like, where is the best place to use this thing? Some on the expression of your solution. Okay. See what I can do. Brent. Old hotel, new surface design, brand new hotel, okay? Brand, I think it's BRAND, new. And brief, spell check. Obviously we need some change, okay? So challenges, how do we get the escalator? How do we let them notice the stories? How do we gut guess? Okay, good questions. I like what you're showing here. First floor to third floor. This one is talking about surrounding facilities. And location and comparison. Okay. Average price, Average review points, average number of rooms. Okay, so now that we have this information, what do we do with it? We design it for Peter Brown. These are his surface journey map, user experience map. My biggest question we did all this research and compared things. We have a persona. What do we do with all that information? Do we legitimately have a service robot, or do we have a kiosk? Yeah, that looks like a robot to me. We really have serving robots? How much are serving robots? Also, say menu and command board. I don't know what this is. Bring that down a little bit so it's not hanging on top. Reception and bar. Room and style. Room and style looks good. I like this. I get it, right? So we enter. We go to the first floor. What do we do first? Self check-in. We take elevator to third floor. Greeting and check-in. So they don't check in on the first floor, they check in on the third floor. That is kind of confusing. Why does this project have to be so hard? All right, my biggest question so far is the transition between you have all this information, what do you do with it? Like, what is the ideal user experience for the Brent Hotel? What would that be? List that out. I guess it could be right here. It needs to have this feel. It needs to have like these touch points. And then kind of walk me through what that experience might look like. So this does it for everyone. Maybe you do it for one person. Like it's very much like not a sequence of use, but a storyboard. I do this, I do this. Ooh, this is a designed element over here. I understand it. Oh, I would have been confused if they didn't have this robot or didn't have this piece of signage. I go up to the third floor. It's such a difficult, because there's so much stuff y'all did, it's difficult to, like, are we doing interior design or are we designing for people and experiences? And the answer is like you did both. This I got lost. Is there a way you could have these like more bold? Because I see the orange, but I don't really see the blue. All right. You need to take this color of green and make it darker so I can read this a bit better. All right, we're talking about hydroponics, the Roland family. I hope to use my own garden and figure out a way to grow healthy food for my family. Okay, that's a good start. Garden Bloom, 1 in 3 American households grow food. Okay, but that doesn't say they're doing aquaponics. That just says they're growing food. And now we introduce it into aquaponics. So it should say 1 in 3 Americans. Actually, if you're just designing a hydroponic system, you can say that America homegrown food is increasing. Many homeowners are considering using aquaponics. What is aquaponics? And then you show me the information there. Product placements, mechanized, self-containing, productive. Existing systems and conclusions. Okay, there's not enough contrast between the green and the gray. It's difficult for me to see actually how you're solving these things. I would make the circles, I would try to make the circle, this information is kind of too small for me to see. I think it makes sense to have them horizontal. I wish there was a bit of room to scale this up. Definitely I know you can do this. Instead of that being a gray filled circle, make it a white outline, and then no, a black outline and white fill circle. That way I can see the contrast of changing from 4 to 5 back to 4. And these are the so what's. Parallel and vertical planting is good, unbalanced. I love this, right? So this is telling me the good and bad from these existing systems. Enhance interaction, satisfied food requirement. Yeah, that's a lot of stuff. Ideation, I like how this leads over to here. Allow user to scale, have more potential, good. This medium-sized system, okay. You get down to this design uses vertical planting. The user can produce other planting bed to extend their home system. Vertical planting, I got it. 2 tanks of water. Okay. What's the difference between these two? Wicking beds and a 2-tank water system. Structures, all these pieces, got it. How does it work is more I'm getting to now. How the system works. This is, for me, this is too small to understand it, and I don't really get the understanding. Okay, this is better. What if we get rid of this? Scoot that left, increase the size, so water's pumped up, down, and around. It gets into the tank. Tank goes up and down through your plant beds, but also through your hydroponic system. I do like the colors. What I might do is space these out just a little bit. So move. Water tank goes up. Water tap goes up. This doesn't need another dot. Terrence. Or Terrence should be capitalized, maybe. Give me more space in between these sentences, please. Open the lid and feed the fish. Check water. Oh, I forgot there were fish. You talk about there being tanks, but you didn't talk about fish anywhere. All right, so we're doing aquaponics, not hydroponics. So if we're doing aquaponics, you need to mention fish somewhere before we get all the way down to the bottom, because we don't see anything about fish, and fish are an essential part to this ecosystem. Graphics, green dot. Okay. The app looks really nice. It looks professional, but I need to see how it's used in relation to the overall device. Yeah, I don't see a connection. I do like the scenario, right? You go. Kid likes it too. So much fun, but it's so hard. I go to use my app so I understand what's happening. They show me how to set it up. They show me how to operate it. It tells me when there's a problem. They're not going to put it in their front yard, I guarantee, because their HOA is not going to allow it. I don't think that's good. All right, a couple things to change, but overall, pretty solid project. The lake. All right, needs to be fast, flexible, durable, healthy, functional, and convenient. First model is their sketch, more about type, will post later. Okay, so these are going to change. That's what I have the assumption of. You're talking about the target person, but I think in this project, I can't remember if this is outside in or inside out. Either way, just kind of understanding what they need functionally in a coffee maker. Like how many cups, what type of coffee are they making, testing prototype. All right, you tested it. What did you learn? That's what I really need to know. Are the sizes appropriate? Are you able to make 6 cups? Is it intuitive? Would your brand new user know how to operate the system? Design details. Also, you get to the solution really quick. And I don't know where that comes from. How does that part fit into that part? How would somebody use it from start to finish? If you tested the prototype, what did you learn? And more importantly, what did you change? That's what I'm not seeing yet. You gotta tell me it's a drip coffee maker way in the beginning. It always shows normal and boring. Well, you're looking at it after like 30 minutes waking up. So it's normal and boring, but it does what I need to do. So it can't just be an aesthetic solution. It's got to be familiar. It's got to be intuitive. It's got to be trustworthy. And it has to look beautiful. Now the problem is, let's say I've never used them before, right? Where does this come from? Does it come from the bottom or does it come from the top? So I might, how do you do this? Have your callouts on aesthetic on the left side and then move this kind of more towards the right and then your function to the right side. First you do this. Second you open here. Third, we actually never see the top if you touch the top. So in terms of graphics, I think it looks fine. It's just like kind of explaining what are the needs a little bit better. Tell me it's for a drip coffee maker. What did you learn from the prototyping? And then communicate how you solve the problem and how it's easy to use and beautiful and all these other things. Teleconference system, okay. We have functions, we have simple, serious, efficient, triangles. Height of adjustment. In terms of rendering, it's beautiful, right? I just don't see much development. So if this is when you're just showing off your rendering skills and showing off some aesthetic skills, that's fine. But if you're doing like more of a full process, I need to understand what are the difficulties in the video conference space. What are the competitive products in that space? What could you do better? Choosing a design language, seeing multiple ideations, and then getting down to these. Right now, it feels a bucket of being pretty and has a little bit of branding to it, but doesn't really do a lot for process. Dialogue, not monologues. Looks a little grainy and pixelated. Alright, your text needs... How many text sizes do we have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You can only have... I will only allow you to have 3 different font sizes. Right now there's way too many. Overview is fine. This header is fine. This body is fine, but this needs to either be in the header size or in the body. Right now it's too large. All right, you are a UX designer. What's the problem? Connection between autism. And if you are using UX, you're probably working on an app of some sort. Why is an app the best way to deal with these issues? And do you really understand these issues? Let's see. Initial communication, okay? Goal. to get the user more understand and respect each other with is this for a person with autism or a person speaking to a person with autism? I'm tired of you. All right, so this kind of research, 1 in 88 children will be diagnosed with autism. Is a spectrum. There's more and less. Something is happening with the word behavior there. It is hard making them understand collective consciousness and behavior. Don't say making them. It's hard helping individuals with autism understand instead of making them understand. It's kind of a negative way to say it. Enable their ability to communicate and recognize by others. I don't understand what's being said there. Is it to help? So I know autism, but is this also saying that you want to help teenagers communicate with young people with autism? What's ID and ego? You have two personas that use these apps separately. Okay, so now I confirm it's a person with Asperger's and a high school student, so a teenager, and they're interested in talking to one another more effectively. I might try to put these two personas on a page. So we have Amy, and we need a girl. If it's Amy, kind of put a slash on the side of the page, and then you put your child with Asperger's or teenager with Asperger's on the other half of the page, because it really is talking about the communication between the two. Okay, so then how does it work? I would like Illustrator drawings for your wireframe. It just looks more professional. And then what does this do? How does that help them? And this project isn't done. I mean, I can't give you feedback on what I don't see. So you've got to solve the problem. How do you make the connection with them more effectively? I don't know. Project's not done. I can't give you feedback. All right, what are they asking you to do? We're doing packaging. Yes, change the image. User wants helicopters. The flaws: don't touch, no smell, don't be wasteful. The wants: touch, healthy, affordable. Okay, good. Now, the way I've read this every single time is come over and loops down, then comes back up. If that's not how that actually works, I need you to go in Photoshop and kind of wiggle out this purple box, because it always loops visually for me. And you need to say something. In terms of formatting, it should work fine. I think maybe you could shrink down some of these images by like 10%, let it breathe a little bit more, but it's okay. Not doing that, you're doing this. Yeah, go full bleed. Peel it, flip it. No, we'll need to change still. Yes. Yes. Okay, well, change it, bring it to me. I believe that's it for project 2.